Tony, and we are awaiting the arrival of Tony Genovese, our finance administrative officer. And so we're going to do some of the items on the agenda that don't necessarily we don't have to be here for. So I am first, Karen, are there any public comments?
No, there were none.
No public comments. Okay. Item 2 is Tony, so we're going to hold that off. Item 4, budget document update. We're going to hold that off. Funding requests. I don't know, do we need? Yeah, let's hold that off for Tony. Let's go to item 6, which is approval of minutes of the November 19th meeting. Let me just get to those. Okay, it's our regular monthly meeting, and I will approve acceptance of the minutes of Thursday, November 19th, 2020 as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Are there any corrections or suggestions at all anybody wants to make? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? I'm an aye. Ellen?
Yes.
Susan has got her hand up. Tom Handler?
Yes.
Paul, are you a yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Approval of 2021 meeting dates. We have them. You have them in front of you. They're all our meeting dates starting in January. I will move acceptance, or I will ask that we approve the 2021 meeting dates as presented.
Second.
Okay. Obviously, if there's a disaster of some kind, we can always, if there's a snowstorm, whatever, we can always reschedule. But these for now are our regular meetings. So
I just have a question.
Yeah.
I just want to ask. This is the sheet that you gave us originally, Karen, right? There's no change to that one.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
hopefully at some point we get to see each other again. Not that we can't see each other now, but it'll be nice. So, okay, I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Susan's got her hand up. Tom?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of that. First Selectmen's report. We can't do that. Should we do liaison reports on everybody? I'd rather everybody hear them. So why don't we just hold off till at least we got a couple of things out of the way.
Well, Matt, maybe the funding requests seem pretty clear cut. We might be
Okay.
able to do them.
Okay.
If there's a question, we'll have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
ask Tony.
We can always go back to Tony. That's a good idea. Okay. So the first, yeah, you're right. I went through these. They're pretty obvious. The first funding request, let me get the list on here, is it's a line item transfer, 2021-09 for $12,095, and it is we're transferring grant money into the registrar of voters for election workers and technical, and this was for additional expenses due to the 2020 federal election. So I will move acceptance of line item transfer 2021-09 in the amount of $12,095.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none, I'm yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Susan got her hand up. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see Mr. Genovese has joined us.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. We're just gonna continue on with the funding request, Tony, and then we'll go back, and then we'll go right back to the report.
Okay.
All right. The second request is this is a funding request from contingency. Again, additional expenses due to the 2020 federal election, and it's for $15,000 for town clerk assistance, election supplies, and technical. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 2021-10 in the amount of $15,000.
Second.
Any questions on this or comments for Tony? Now that he's here? Again, it seems pretty straightforward. So, I'm yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Next is another line item transfer. And this is a transfer again of grant funds for the additional cleaning of the fire station due to COVID-19. And there's a memo here from Chief Rowland, what they had to do. I'll move acceptance of request for funding. Is this a request for funding or is this a line item transfer?
Line item transfer.
Transfer.
All right, you could change that then, all right? So this is a line item transfer 2021-11 in the amount of $8,524. And I'll move acceptance of this request. Yes, request, line item transfer, excuse me.
Second.
Any questions on this? Okay. I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. And finally, we have a funding request. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. It's from the contingency funds of the Board of Selectmen for litigation, and we all know what's facing the town in a couple of areas. So I will move acceptance of request for funding 2021-12 in the amount of $45,000.
Second.
Anything on this, anybody? Okay, I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Okay, so those all passed. Okay, Mr. Genovese, the floor is yours, item number 2.
Okay, thank you. So for the year-end projected deficit of $120,000, this does not include the grant funds that we've received. I have not factored those into this deficit calculation yet, primarily because I'm not sure if we have any additional expenditures remaining before I do so. We've currently received a little over $100,000 in grant funds for the coronavirus relief. And we just informed today there's an additional $56,000 that we'll be applying for. So that's just under $160,000 that we will be receiving in grant funds. Additionally, we are waiting to hear on a FEMA designation for the storm we had back in August. And we've spent a couple $100,000 on that storm between debris removal and the processing debris and overtime and all the other items related to that storm. There's not been a designation yet. I believe the latest we have on that is it's just awaiting presidential approval. So we are hopeful that we will have something there. Our tax collections continue to be on budget for the fiscal year. Our interest rates have a deficit of $110,000. We continue to have a very low return on our investments, although that's why bonding rates are also low. So, which is good in one way, is bad in another. Our department charges have a deficit of about $54,000. We have seen a shortfall in transfer station fees. A part of that is because the town has not yet enacted a fee for bulky waste, which is currently being reviewed. But the other item, and we had that in the budget. The other item is we've seen a drop off in tonnage and coming from the haulers specifically. So that has caused a reduction in the transfer station fees because they're not paying at the scale. The flip side of that is true in our expenditures. We are also generating surplus in the expense side of the transfer station because of the reduced tonnage we are bringing to the plant in Bridgeport. So part of that could have to do with the fact that we raised our fee. So we were charging, of course, to the haulers, and now we're charging with other area towns charge. So that could play into the reduction in tonnage. The benefits are expected to generate about $100,000 in surplus. Most of that is workers' compensation premium savings and savings in healthcare. Some changes in some coverage changes, and also we received a discount or a slight discount from Connecticut due to the coronavirus. They passed on some savings to us. And finally, the Board of Ed, actually this number was reduced even further. I believe it's $97,000 where their projected year-end deficit is. So that continues to go in the right direction.
That's it?
That's it.
Any questions for Tony? So then, as we get these monies in for the various townwide disasters, that should get this deficit down, right?
Correct. One thing I was thinking was, earlier you spent 50,000, I think it was, on debris removal. And so yeah, I'm hopeful that if that happens, we could reimburse the contingency for that $50,000.
That's good.
That's what we're hoping on that declaration. But yes, once we know we don't have any more expenditures coming, I will incorporate that into this analysis.
Okay. Any questions for Tony? Tony, how's the audit going? It's done, isn't it?
It's complete. Yes.
That's right.
Not we
We
were.
signed something.
So you have your letter from the auditors, and Scott will be here in January to review the audit. It's actually, we've done it in many years, and considering that a lot of towns actually are looking for an extension due to staff shortages and issues with the pandemic. Actually, we did really well this year. So the audit is complete, and we have no findings in the audit.
Well, that's because these other towns don't have you. Okay, so that's good news.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, the Amities is done too, so that's good news too.
That's good. Yeah.
All right, so Woodbridge Board of Ed Financial, or maybe under liaison, Tom, you want to cover some of that?
Yes, I'll cover that.
Okay. Anything else, Tony, under other?
No.
Okay. So let's see. I see Beth has joined us. Welcome, Beth. Can she hear us? Beth, are you there? Okay. Budget document update.
So the Government Finance Officers Association, of which we belong, has a budget process where we apply for a budget distinction or budget award each year. And the goal of the program is to simply provide a budget document that allows the residents to get the most information that they can in terms of what they're spending money on and where their money goes and how it's used, and be a more informed public. So we've been looking around for a while how we can change our budget. When we first came here, we changed the document, improved it quite a great. Karen and I worked hard on that, and we improved the document. And but we felt it needed a little improvement. Well, GFOA has just announced a new program. They've changed their budget document program, so it's going to be more of a virtual budget. And what that means is it's going to be an online virtual experience where you can click on graphs and charts, and there are links to other documents. And there'll be a printed version, but it's meant to be an interactive document. So we're going to take on that challenge. There'll be some software costs related to it, but Karen and I have decided we'll take on that challenge over the summer. And we can, once we have a little more information, we'll present you with some examples of other towns that have done this already, and you can sort of look on their website and figure out their budget documents. But I think it's pretty interesting and exciting myself.
Okay. All right. So, funding requests we've done, approval of minutes we've done, approval of the meeting dates we've done. First selectmen's report. Beth.
Wow, you got a lot done while I was out.
Oh yeah, we don't waste time.
That's my report. Okay. It's in here somewhere. Sorry. You did everything, right? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Thank you, everyone. I apologize, I was late. We were at a Board of Selectmen meeting. As a result of how widespread the pandemic has been in Woodbridge, I once again am asking all residents to please wear a mask at all times, especially on town property, including our walking trails and the playgrounds, unless you have a medical exemption or under age 2. Please help us get that message out to everyone. I still remain very concerned that as we head into the colder months and the holiday season, our positive cases will continue to rise. The latest numbers from Chief Cappiello as of this afternoon, now this is from March to now, we have a total of 217 positive cases in our town since March and 34 associated deaths. There have been no deaths, I hope I haven't wrecked it by saying that, since the spring. The Board of Selectmen continues to review a possible upcoming project, which includes renovations to the old firehouse, community center, a storage shed at the new firehouse, a final renovation to the senior center, and a roof project at Beecher Road School. The Town Planning and Zoning Commission is currently considering an application from New England Brewing Company. This is all good news. An incredibly popular award-winning brewery to move from its current location on Amity Road to the empty parcel at the southern corner of Litchfield Turnpike and Bradley Road. They have been courted by New Haven and other towns, but over the course of many months, with Betsy, Tony, and I have met several times with the owner and developer, and I'm so pleased that they have agreed to stay and invest in Woodbridge. There's a separate proposal to build active adult housing, which is over 55 housing units, at the northern corner of Litchfield and Bradley, across from the brewery's planned new home. Additionally, an upscale wine store will soon submit an application for a permit, open at 245 Amity Road, now that our Town Planning and Zoning Commission voted to change a regulation to make it easier for package stores to open up in the business district. All of these projects are welcome additions and may help draw more customers to our existing businesses. Like many of you, I watched the November 30th Woodbridge Town Planning and Zoning Commission special meeting to consider an application which proposes substantial changes to the town's zoning regulations. The public hearing has been continued to January 4th. The Board of Selectmen voted earlier this evening to engage the consultant to help both the Town Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Selectmen as we move forward. We continue to work against the proposal to construct a cell tower in a residential neighborhood here in town. This is a private transaction, as you know, between a resident and Verizon. The Board of Selectmen voted at our last meeting at the beginning in December to sign a contract with an engineer, should that be necessary, to advise the board on the suitability of the chosen site. Despite the pandemic, Town Hall remains busy. Our employees have done an amazing job of taking care of our residents. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought out the best in many people, especially in the town of Woodbridge. I have seen friends and neighbors who have shown compassion and empathy, and those who have offered a helping hand to others during this extraordinary time. I want to thank you all for working with me this past year, and I wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you. Anyone have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Of course.
No, just one thing. I don't think all the trails are marked about the mask requirement. So
If
I just put it out there. I think it would be helpful.
we've tried to do them. Interestingly enough, I just found out, you think I've lived in this town for almost 30 years, and I just found out Alice Newton, the one that goes down behind Town Hall, is not a town-owned trail. It's owned by the Woodbridge Land Trust. So we've marked all of the town trails.
Oh.
Betsy spoke with, I believe, the head of the land trust to ask them to put up signs, so maybe that will get done.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
if you hear of another one that is a town trail, I didn't even know that. Been on it a million times. But if you do hear of others or see others, let me know and I'll make sure we get signs up, Ellen. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Beth? Okay. Liaison reports. I attended the Amity Finance Committee meeting this past Monday, and we do those live, by the way. We go to the junior high school, and they have their board meetings too live, so they're the first ones to do that. Nothing earth-shattering. Well, actually, there was one earth-shattering thing, but I'll go over that in a second. But their audit was also completed, accepted. No major problems, no comments, no suggestions. So they've come a long way with their audit. So their audit is all set also. And now that the audit is all set, the amount of money that they will return to the town of Woodbridge is all set. And write this down, Tony, $611,196. That's what you're going to be getting back, okay? Now, the other bit of news, which will be widely debated coming up, is their budget. When their initial budget increase, which basically is from staff and department leaders, came in at 7.07%. After budget reviews and requests and whatever, it was reduced to 5.92%. And currently it stands at 5.39%, which is a lot. And considering again that Woodbridge, we're going to get hit with a bigger increase because we have more kids there. So 5.39, I mean, they were basically made aware that that's not going to fly, 5.39%, especially when you consider, I think I mentioned this to this board at the last meeting, that Jim Zioli is seeking a 2% reduction. So there will be, and they do a lot of lobbying and whatever. So this will get to be, and they did tell us last year that this was going to be a tough year because there's going to be a lot of things coming up for special education and devices and textbooks and things that have been put off and put off and put off. So there's no way they're going to possibly be able to come in with 5.39% and get the budget passed. So we'll see. And I mean, the last line of the report was, we continue to work to reduce the budget before the January presentation. Dr. Byers will appear before the joint board of selectmen and finance at one of our budget meetings, I think, January 24th. Karen, I don't know if you remember. I think
that's it. Yeah.
January 24th. She'll be on that meeting to present her budget. So it'll be interesting to see, but they basically been saying right along that this is going to be a tough year, but 5.39% is way, way over what we could possibly afford to pay. So we'll see where they go from there. So, but other than that, everything seems okay. I'm sure you've been reading in the paper that they got some, I guess the 2 middle schools are now live, 100% live. The high school is virtual. So they're working towards hopefully all live, and we shall see. But that's basically, that was basically all that was covered at the meeting. So, all right, let's go in order here now.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
The Amity budget, if I recall, last year the superintendent talked about the debt burden from that referendum. Do you recall how much of that 5.39 is related to that?
I do not. I'd have to dig into the budget to see, but
I'm just curious, 'cause I'm just trying to figure out how much of that is
Yeah.
discretionary versus.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's that. I'll tell you, there's a list here of items that, let's see. Well, below is a summary of the categories. Oh, these are categories that are cut. They cut $853,000, various things, but I'll get back to you on that.
I'm just curious.
I'm sure we'll have it when we meet with her. But honestly, I don't think it's that much. It's not that it wasn't that big a bond issue, but we'll see. We'll find that out.
And in case, I think I heard today, and I'm not, hopefully I'm not misspeaking. I think I heard today that Amity did not call a snow day today. They just went virtual, which is kind of interesting.
I think if I saw on the TV, I think you're right. They did. A lot of the bigger cities did. I noticed the small towns went snow day, and West Haven, Milford, New Haven, they all went virtual. So for whatever.
Just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Well, while you're talking, Tom, why don't you continue with your report?
All right. So, good news, bad news. So they had a finance meeting on this past Monday. What I would applaud them is that, as we know, they have that deficit because they hired the 4 teachers, which are now hired through the year. That was, I'm trying to remember, I think that was going to cause a deficit of $210,000. But the good news is that they're now projecting a deficit slightly down, 97,346. And so I want to applaud them that they are not sort of sitting back and saying, "Hey, we had to hire the four teachers," but they're still looking for stuff. And so that the fact that their the deficit went down, is more remarkable in that they also had an unanticipated special ed outplacement. So they're doing, trying to do the best they can. They had, I think in the report it says 77,000 from some health insurance savings from the substitutes. What they were able to the previous budget was based on an assumption about what those subs were going to get in benefits. So they're doing better there. The deficit includes some loss due to the cafeteria. So they are still providing meals, but they're having less people buy. There are less kids in the school and people are not buying as much. So they're having a deficit there. So I think they're doing well. Overall, I would applaud them for continuing to try to cut that deficit. Dr. Budd is now on board. I guess officially he started on Monday, just in time for the snow day this week. And then, he thanked the Board of Ed and the town for giving him a little bit of an extension on working on the budget, a couple of extra weeks for next year. And should be kind of interesting. Just a heads up, they're projecting, I think Al said a 20% increase in the healthcare insurance projected going forward this year. Which I don't know that there's anything we do about it, but overall, they seem to be doing okay. They also thanked us and thanked the town for willingness, as we talked about their capital budget, to, instead of always cutting their budget, we suggested, if we recall, that they might want to roll in more of the roof repair into the fund, and thanked us for being proactive on that. I think everything else in the report is pretty self-explanatory, unless anybody has any specific questions, I can try to answer.
What is their current status, Tom? What are the kids doing there? Is it in person, virtual? They have a choice? I don't really follow what they're doing, but what are they doing
So
there?
roughly about 25% of the kids are still all virtual, by election of parents, for whatever reason. The rest are going in person.
Okay.
And they're currently planning to keep that going as long as they can. They're trying not to do too much disruptions. But Dr. Budd is trying to figure out, how this is going to go forward. I think their plan, we had some conversations at the last budget meeting about what they were going to plan for this, for the next season. I think he's going to plan on a budget assuming no COVID expenses. That I don't know any other way to do it, and hopefully with the vaccine things will be closer to normal. But we will see. I don't know about kids getting vaccinated in time for the fall.
Okay.
But hopefully that the staff will be able to get vaccinated by the fall.
Okay. Any questions for Tom? Who's next? Ellen.
Yeah. Human Services met on December 7th. The end of the meeting was an executive session, following which the board unanimously decided to recommend Christy Moriarty as the new Woodbridge Center director. So that was a decision that they made. They've been very active throughout this period, and including a Thanksgiving drive-through event where Human Services distributed 105 meals. It was co-sponsored with the volunteer fire department and some of the town businesses. There's still classes being offered online, and Human Services as well is offering a great array of activities and following through with the annual toy program and other things, but with accommodation made to COVID, things are being done differently. But they've been very active and providing good services for the town.
Okay, thank you. I see Paul Currico's name up here. Paul Curricos.
The police commission meeting was to be held on Tuesday the 8th, but unfortunately we weren't able to meet. So I'll have a report for you next month.
Okay. Susan.
Library Commission met this week. I'll just say that they continue to follow the ebb and flow of good COVID practices. So I would say to the public, just check before you access the services, because I think, Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're actually, the doors are closed as we speak, although they were open for a good part of November.
Yep, you're
Fire
correct.
Commission is that correct, Beth?
Yes.
Yeah. Fire Commission is meeting. They just changed their meeting, December meeting. They won't be meeting until January.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Hearing nothing, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, everybody in favor? Yes. Have a wonderful Christmas, New Year, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and we'll see you next year.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thanks, everybody.
Always, bye.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, be safe.